Good day, guys. The purpose of this video is to get a little getting started, little getting started video for your prac for this week or for week 2, so that you. So I just want to point out some things in the Eclipse environment that we've noted might be useful for you to get rolling with this practical. Okay, so. First things first, let's open the Eclipse environment. We are going to use Eclipse Mars 1, which should be the same as the ones that's currently installed on the lab computers. If it's not, the Eclipse environments are pretty similar, so I'm sure the steps will work very similar to what you are seeing. Okay, this is the workbench that you should be accustomed to by now. On the left, we've got our project. Here we're going to see the code, and this is the console. Okay, so first thing, we are going to create a project. So to create a project, we can right click over here, say new, and very important, select a C project. Then we are going to go with an empty project over here and make sure you select the min.gwgcc compiler. Our project name for this exercise, let's call it assignment, and I'm going to say finish. Then you will see that my assignment folder is over here. Now, very important, you are only going to work on one project at a time in Eclipse. So this little folder shows you which projects are open and which projects are closed. So right click on the ones that you want to close, and we say close project. Now you can see the test project over here is closed. I only have my assignment project open, but I don't have anything inside of it. Next step is for me to add a C source file. So I'm going to right click on my assignment on the project, and I'm going to say new C source file. Let's call it assignment.c. Very important, remember that extension .c. This template should be set to default C source template. Click finish. Alright, so the C file that is open now is shown over here on this screen. It's called assignment C. You can expand your comment. This is the type of comment that you will see. In the practical assignment, you will see that we suggest you replace this with a comment as shown in the document. It's always good practice to do that. Okay, so let's get started on adding some code over here so that we can compile it and run it. I'm going to add my include statements of the standard libraries. And I'm going to start off the code that I show here is very similar to the code that is proposed in the practical assignment. Okay, so what do we have over here? We are going to print out to the standard output an integer called num1, which should display the value 10, because we set it to 10 over here. Let's compile the project now and make sure that that is what's happening. To compile the project, or to build the project at least, right click on my project over here. I say build project. And as you can see over here on the console, I have output that my GC compiler has been running, and it has compiled my assignment.exe, which should be the same name here as as your C file, as what your C file is called. Okay, to run it, I can go to the Run tab over here and select Run. As you can see, on my console is printed that num1 is equal to 10, which is exactly what I have been expecting. Now, let's make this a little bit more in line with the practical, and we are going to read the value of this variable over here, which is called num2. Now, to do that, I'm going to use the scanf function. So I just want an indication in my code what I am going to do. I'm going to say reading the value of num2. Remember, those are the new lines. And let's add this scanf function. We are going to read an integer, hence the %d. And I'm going to use the value that I'm going to read will be stored in this variable over here called num2. Now, what I would also like to do is let's first print out that value of num2. Okay. Like this. Use a printf statement to print out the value of num2. As you can see, Eclipse is not indicating any warnings or errors, so everything should be running smoothly. Now, to build it again, right-click on your assignment. You say build project. It's building my project. Everything is fine. The build finished. And I run my project. So, as you can see, my program now waits here. It says reading the value of num2. It's not executing this statement. The reason is that if I click on my console over here, I can add a value. As you can see, I've now typed the value 5, press enter, and out pops this printf statement saying that the value of num2 is equal to 5. Now, let's make this example slightly more complex. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to add another variable called answer is equal answer. And this value, this is also an integer. What we are going to be storing in this answer, in line with your practical that you can expect for this week, is the modulus function. So we're going to say the answer is the modulus of the two numbers, num1 and num2 that we are reading. And let's print that out as well. So let's print out the value of num1 here. So it's an integer, which is why we use the %d specifier. Now we want to print this percentage sign, the mod value. In order to print that, I have to use two percentage signs. So I've got num1 and num2 that I'm printing out over here. Now, again, let's compile our project or build it. Now I see that I've got a problem over here. I have a warning. It says that my my variable answer over here, this ans, is been set over here, but it's not used. Okay, so what I forgot to do over here in this printf statement is to print out the value of that variable ans, which is exactly what the compiler is telling me. Now, if I right click and I build my project again, I see that that warning has disappeared. Let's go to run. Okay, so the value of num1 is 10, as we've said over here, and we're reading the value of num2. Num2 is waiting over here. So let's input a value for num2. Let's say we would like to know what the value of 10 mod 10 is. The value of 10 mod 10 is 0, as expected. Let's run it again. Try another example. The value of 10 mod 5, what would that be? The value of 10 mod 5 is also 0. Okay, so let's try now another example where let's figure out what is the value of 10 modulus 3. So, alternatively asked, how many times does 3 go into 10? 3 times. How much is left? 1. So we expect the answer to be 1. So we go to run. We already have 10, and we say 3. So 10 modulus 3 is 1 as expected. Now let's input a different value. Let's say, what is the value of 10 modulus 3? That's not defined. It's almost like dividing with 0. So we would expect our program to throw out some form of an error. And an error like that is called a runtime error. So let's run our project, our program. We already have 10, and we enter 0, press enter. As you can see, assignment exe has stopped working. This means that we have detected, or the environment over here has detected what we call a runtime error. That's an error that occurs during the runtime. We can say cancel. Okay, now, if we have a complex problem, this is a pretty simple program. So we can see that the issue is, we know that we've added a 0, so the line should be, the line that's giving trouble is this line here on line 24. As you can see in the prac, we're going to suggest a way in which you can protect your program against these type of runtime errors using tests or checks in the code. But let's go to a feature of Eclipse that is useful when we try to find out where problems in my code is, and that is called debugging. So we would like to see what the Eclipse debugger environment can offer us in which to really determine what's going on. Okay, now to switch to the debug environment, I can go run, and I can select this debug option over here. As you can see, it also says F11. You can press F11, or you can go to run debug. So click on that. Now you will see that this this window pops up, which says that the Eclipse is going to switch the perspective. You say yes, and it brings you to a bit of a different view over here. So on the top, we have our thread that's being executed, or the program that's being executed over here. Then we have over here, we have the different variables. So as you can see, I have 3 integers, num1, num2, and ons, and they are all listed here, their type as well as their value. There's big values over here. I'll get to that now, but over here is my code. These green lines, that is where the program is currently executing. So what the debugger environment allows us to do is it allows us to systematically step through our program with the various lines and view, for example, the value of variables over here, or identify lines in my code that's giving issues. So what I'm going to do now is, as you can see, if you want to stop your code that's running, you can just press on that terminate, that red block over here, press terminate. You can also if you want to run the debugger, then again you say run debug. As also indicated in the practical, the program execution should then stop here at this setBuf instruction. So now, let's say I want to systematically step line by line to see what's happening. Keep an eye on the value of these variables as we do that. Now, to step line by line, I am going to go to this little arrow option over here, and as you hover over it, you will see that up pops a little tooltip that says step over. Or alternatively, you can also press F6. So as I click on that, the line moved to the next statement, which is num1 is equal to 10. Now, as we click again, that is executed, and as you can see over here, num1, the variable, obtains the value of 10. Step another line, we've now executed that printf statement. As you can see on the application on the console over here, we have printed out the value of num1. We are now going to print out this reading the value of num2, which is exactly as expected, and now we are going to execute this scanf statement. So the program is now waiting for us. You click on the console, enter my 0, and I press enter. As you can see, it is now here at this statement. Let's execute that statement by pressing step over, and my program is waiting. As you can see over here, we also get a message that says it has been suspended because of an arithmetic exception. More on that a little bit later in the theory, but this allows us to see that the problem in my program is at this line where I have, after I've read the number and the value of my variables that's causing the issue is num1 10 and num2 0. So this should indicate to me that the problem is with this line, which is a modulus between the value 10 and the value 0. All right, I think, okay, so we've identified this is the problem, and in the practical, you're going to find ways in which to fix it now. So let's stop it. And we would now like to go on with our C programming. So to switch to that context, you can go over here. You see there's next to the debug, there's a little C++. Click on that, and it'll switch you right back to the environment that you're used to. All right, enjoy the practical. I hope this makes sense. We'll talk again next time.